Hello. Hi, morning, guys. Happy Monday. Yes, it is a plastic bag. I am pre-pooing my hair. It's saturated with some oils, and I'm getting my early morning sun. So just sitting here, I decided, you know what? I am going to do my Monday video just like this. So I hope you all don't mind. I'm getting some sun with my plants, and yeah, so we're doing this video. So today I just want to talk to us about one of the challenge that we plan to do since International Women's Day. One of the challenges was to wholeness, to heal. Challenge the women to heal. I challenge them to support small business. You all know Teas Nail Hub, My Pot of Peace, Beauty with Grace Salon and Spa, Lydia's Luxury Bars, Sweet Memories by Callis, and Charles Snaps. And then I challenged us to stay focused, to let the main thing be the main thing, and to ensure that we maintain communication and a good relationship with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So I'm going back to the wholeness challenge. The challenge to ensure that you heal mind, body, soul, and spirit, that you heal for real, that you're good for real, that you're okay for real. So over the weekend the word rehab came to mind, and I said, let me look into what doing her rehab is, because I don't know if you follow me on Instagram. Sometime late last year into early this year, I had the word restructuring, and I would have explained what that means and what it entails and so on. And so like for the last couple of days, the word rehab, and I thought about an alcoholic or somebody on drugs, and you know, they would have to go into rehab to get out from that illness, because it is an illness, get out of that illness into a state of normalcy. So I decided to look into the word rehab. Rehabilitation. Rehab is the shorter version of it. And in light of, like I said in the video before, when I dealt with trauma, I have found, it's just my own personal opinion, don't come at me and don't throw stones in my house. I find that with the individuals I would have spoken to, and for myself as well, I've found that we go to church, and we, like I said before in our previous video, we get saved, the church celebrates, we are so zealous and raring to go for Jesus, and one time we want to get involved and to function for the Lord and all those things, which is good, nothing is wrong with it, but we do that for years, and no one really stops to find out, hey, I need you to come in, because I really want to get to know who you are and what you've been through, and how we can ensure that your growth and your development and your healing and everything is holistic. And so we don't really ask people about their trauma. We don't really, because of course nobody wants to get into that, and sometimes we didn't even know it's trauma. We just assume, well, this is how I grew up. Yes, girl, my life was hard. And not that we glorifying that in any way, no, but what I'm trying to get to is the fact, what I'm realizing is the fact that we go through, and sometimes we have grown folk, real grown folk, who have never dealt with these situations that would have traumatized them, that would have affected who they are today. So you find in a situation where you're hearing a young girl or a young fella say, I can't remember my mother really hugging me, I don't, you see this affection thing? We never really used to do that in the house, but why though? Nobody really gets into that. Nobody really gets into the fact that, oh, you didn't grow up with your father? How that affect you, girl? Nobody really gets into, we start labeling, when we see people acting in a particular way, you have an orphan spirit, or you have a spirit of rejection, or you have a spirit of anger. Oh, you always angry so and aggressive. But why? Nobody is born like that. All babies come out sweet, nice, cute, nice rosy cheeks, smooth skin, and they are good. Like they are born, and the children they come out with a clean slate. Is situations, circumstances, how we grow up, how we are influenced, learned behavior is what shapes that baby into who they are today. So it depends on what you might be hearing other voices. Children are, I'm not in my quiet room. I take in son and they are out here with me. Yeah, so it's learned behavior is not a situation where that just happened. This is you growing up and you're seeing aggression over here, you're seeing this over here, you're seeing that over here. Nobody don't really talk to anybody sweet. So you're rough. These are the things that shape the individual, and we don't address it. We ourselves is just saying, but that's my personality. I didn't. That's how I know myself. But you didn't born so. It was learned behavior. So the aim for this topic today is for us to go back and see if there are things that we need to take out and go to rehab for. So, of course, I did some reading, and yeah, I'm going to tell you all what I found. So, rehabilitation is the action of restoring someone to health or normal life through training and therapy. The action of restoring someone to former privileges or reputation after a period of disfavor. The action of restoring something that has been damaged to its former condition. So, the three things I read out, both of them said restoring. So, to me, if something is restored, so like a car getting an accident and they say we restore it, we restore the car. That means the car would have been mashed up, damaged or whatever, and have to be done over in a state where it looks like its normal self or what it should have been before it went into the accident, before you experienced your trauma, before you ended up living by a relative and was not treated well, before you realized that you were abandoned or rejected by a parent and you grew up in a single family home, before all of that. My husband just discovered that I'm using his phone. So yeah, so before all of that, what was this individual like? And sometimes we can't even tell because it's from so early. Like I could remember, like at the age of 5, things that happened to my mother, and I was little, like, and it's vivid. I'm telling you, I could explain to you exactly what happened, where she was, what was thrown, that kind of thing. Vivid in your memory. And so you have to go back to now, what was this child like before she was 5, before she was 3, before her innocence was taken, so restoring back to that, that's the first thing with rehabilitation. So for instance, before you were bitter, before you were this unforgiving person, before something happened, you always think that something negative always going to happen. Before you stop trusting people because you've gone through certain circumstances and situations for so long, and now you don't trust people at all. So before all of that happened, who were you before that? So I reading on. Yeah, I make notes. So rehabilitation does not reverse, which is important, or undo the damage caused by disease or trauma, but rather helps restore the individual to optimal health, functioning, and well-being. So rehab, not going and making, people like to tell you this nonsense about forgive and forget, and if you truly forgive, that means you have to forget about it, blah, blah, blah. So rehabilitation does not reverse or undo the damage caused. So you're not going to forget that somebody said something horrible about you, to you, concerning you. You're not going to forget that. You're not going to forget that your father left your mother. You're not going to forget that. You're not going to forget that you don't remember being hugged or see affection in the house, and you don't remember saying I love you ever until you probably get a wife or a husband. So you really don't even know what that would mean because you never really saw it exemplified before you. You just know people who looking like they love, this is what it does do, and this is what it's seeming like the feeling's supposed to look like. So you won't forget. It's not like you will forget. Like I told you before, I broke my ankle when I was pregnant with my first daughter, and the scar is there. The screws are there, the steel plates are there. You don't forget that you experienced that trauma. You don't forget the incident. You don't forget. What you don't want to do is to render yourself paralyzed by the trauma. Like, I cannot move on until ever because this happened to me. Oh my God. I am walking. And come on, you have to use your heart again, use your mind again, use your soul again, trust again. And it might be painful to use it again because, trust me, it was painful walking on my foot the very first time, doing the therapy, going through rehabilitation, and using that limb again. It was painful. Therapy was not easy. So, principles of rehabilitation. Avoid aggravation. Keep setbacks to a minimum. Advance gradually. Don't aggravate the injury. So don't put yourself, like these people who Alcoholic Anonymous, they just tell them don't go in a bar. Oh God. They're drinking in that. Don't meet a lime with friends in a bar and you trying not to drink. Really? And sometimes it might mean not that you would never go or ever, based on how long you would have gotten out of the situation. I don't think you will ever be in a situation where nobody drinks. It's just you having that measure of self-control at that point in time to not do or to not go back into that state again. So avoid aggravation. If you know individuals, circumstances, situations, triggers and aggravate, you wouldn't bring a thief in a house with money lying all over the place, and telling me you rehabilitating this person and think that they are accustomed doing. You go and say, well, God going on, you just have to trust God, and you're bringing a thief. Really? So you can't put yourself in a situation that will aggravate the injury. Like when I broke my foot, I had to lie down for 6 weeks with my foot up. And that was torture. So sometimes you need to just stay away. Stay away from situations and circumstances until you're able to put pressure on that area that has been traumatized. Um, the second thing is timing. Therapy as soon as possible without causing aggravation. Rest is sometimes necessary. So like I said, I had to put my foot up, elevated, so that one, the swelling would have come down from the surgery, and to not walk on it when the cast was on it, because sometimes you might just forget because you're accustomed walking, and you might just walk forgetting that, hey, you cannot use this. And so sometimes you need time to get over. I wonder if I should share this, boy. Maybe later in the game. Real later. But you go through some traumatizing situations, and you cannot just jump back into the situation right away. It needs time to heal, time to at least gas cap. It may not heal internally. Those of you who would have had C-sections, after a week or so, they call you back to take out the stitching, the suture, that one string that is pull out, and outside will look as if it healed, but you cannot go about driving, sweeping, mopping like normal, because you would not have been healed properly. So you need time. The third thing is compliance. You have to be ready to conform. You can't go for counseling or therapy and not want to do nothing at all that they tell you that you need to do. So they tell you need to, when the memories of the situation comes about, press eject one time. Don't lie with it, don't mull around with it in your mind. Think about something else, go to a happy place, and you mining. I remember that, this is so, that girl said the most horrible thing, and you just lying there with that. Trust and believe. You are not compliant. Individualization. Understand that you are not Susie, you are not Suzanne, you are not Suzetta. Your name might be Sharon. Everybody's name probably might start with S, but you cannot take the same medicine that they would have taken, thinking that, oh, this will work for me. No, you might need to. So somebody's alcoholic and they might tell you, oh no, I good. Even if I go to a bar, I good. And you might not be even able to drink a shandy, because it have that 0.09% of alcohol in it. And you can't just say, well, look, them drinking, what are drinks that about here? Caribbean. Because it only have 4% or whatever. I don't even know. So you can't say, I drinking that because look so and so drinking it, and next thing you're gone and you taste the thing and your head, you're mixing vodka and orange juice because you're going straight back. No, you cannot. You cannot. So you have to understand what may work for Suzanne, Suzette, and Susanna may not work for you, say, right? Not going to work. So you have to understand. People heal, and people need to understand that too. People like to tell you, you ain't hear over that yet? Excuse? You know how that affected my psyche? You know how that affected me moving forward, looking at you, having to deal with you? You know how that affected my relation with you? Because you came and did something that was traumatizing to me when I was 10. You come back at the age of 22 and tell me the exact same thing. You understand what that did? And they're telling you by now you need to get over. No, you cannot just put a blanket over everybody because it may have the same title. Somebody say, oh, I didn't grow up with my father neither. And somebody else say, kill me neither. But I don't bother me, And for somebody else, it may bother them more because you would not have had a great stepfather or grown up great, or had the opportunity where you grew up in a loving family, despite the fact that there was that void there. Yours may have been 10 times rough, so you cannot just put a blanket over everybody. Next thing, the specific sequencing. Follow the natural flow. I remember when I started therapy for my ankle. So of course you can't leave the hospital until you know how to use crutches. They made sure that so that was step one. You had to learn. Somebody came and showed you how to do crutches, how to apply the weight, how to lean on the neck side, how to basically baby the injury. and to not put any pressure at all so that you don't forget ever. And so that was the first step. The second step was to make sure that you had somebody to take care of you, because you cannot be, and I was pregnant, you cannot be walking around all over the place and that kind of thing. So they wanted to make sure when you leave here to go home, is there anybody at home to take care of you? Then after that, now you had to come back for them to check the dressing. Now mine couldn't go in a cast right away because it was so swollen so badly after the surgery. They didn't want to put it in a cast, because if they put it in a cast, the swelling go down, the cast will end up being wobbly and not holding the foot in position where it needed to be. So I had to more or less wear a bandage, let that go down, let them check it, make sure they check the dressing to see if the stitching was healing properly with the antibiotics I was given, which couldn't be strong enough because you're pregnant, and so they don't want to give you antibiotics that would damage the health of the baby. So there was a sequence of things, and like I say, even with the antibiotics, I couldn't get antibiotics or painkillers that other people would have gotten that would have helped with the pain. So the trauma of the broken foot was one thing, but the trauma of what you had to go through after was on a whole nother level, because like I say, you couldn't even get the painkillers that would have been able to help alleviate the pressure that you were under. And so after that, then the cast went on. And the cast went on, you had to come back now and do therapy for the foot. And the things that you had to do, they had to take it step by step. Like I said, people just want to tell you, oh, by now. But you have parents who would have gone through traumatizing situation with their own lives, coming now dealing with their children in their traumatized state and not doing the best that they could do as parents. But I guess with the information and knowledge that you have to literally look at them and say, what, you know what? I will leave you now, because if I take on what you dishing out to me in your traumatized state, I will remain traumatized. So sometimes like you have to tell yourself, you know what? Let me leave that. So let me leave the individual. So because it just has some people they're just not going and change. They 30, how they was at 30, how they turn 40, and they still have foot and mouth disease. They still aggressive. They still don't know how to not get in trouble with people. They don't know how to not get under people's skin. And so you just have to tell yourself, you see, before you send me mad, let me learn to deal with myself, because you can't help yourself. And so it's literally you going through the sequence step by step to get you to the point of healing. And like I said, I remember there was certain parts in the therapy that you couldn't move forward to until you passed this point. And like I said, we're talking about trauma here. You all forgive somebody, a car is passing with a loudspeaker. Mercy. Yeah, so the car passed. My word. So yeah. So you may not be able to do everything one time, but take it in baby steps. And like I said, don't let nobody tell you, look how long this happened. Don't let nobody tell you that. Because sometimes, like I said, with my foot, it was broken. Then I had to do surgery. And because I was pregnant, I was not able to receive certain medication that would have helped with the pain. And so sometimes people don't know, like, if the trauma was something that took place, one happened 2019 and the next one took place in 2021. You don't know if time passed or if it was a continuous trauma, just trauma. You was just stopping at every bus stop you were stopping at and collecting trauma. And so nobody have the right to tell you how you could handle when to get over and if you should get over by now. Nobody. So nobody put you under that kind of pressure, and if they want to say that, let them say that, and you move along. So, intensity. So the therapy must challenge the patient and the injured area without aggravation. Consideration of the healing process must be observed. To me, this is the last, that's now. No, that's not the last part. So, intensity. So, I find this one real tricky. So, the therapy must challenge. So, it must cause you to, you will feel some measure of pain because you're challenging the hurt area to function as it was before. Remember, there's rehabilitation and we're trying to get it back to where it's supposed to be. Think of sanding down a car from the old paint. Imagine that, you grinding away this old paint to put fresh paint on it. The car, we ain't hearing it, but I sure the car grind. So the intensity, the therapy must challenge the patient and injured area without aggravation. So the person who doing the challenging or you yourself must know when, like I say, you see how it say individualization, we read that before? You have to know what you could take from what you cannot take. So if you know when you come into fellowship, or I say in fellowship, no more church people think, but you gather in you gathered with certain people, how that does affect you? Oh God, for heaven's sake. Instead of going there and spending 2 hours, pass and say hello, hope everybody good, everybody all right, how you doing, how's school? Thing, your job doing okay, how you doing with COVID? And stay 10 minutes and ride out, because that is all you could take at that point in time to deal. That's all you could deal with at that point in time. That is where you are, and that is enough. That is intensified enough for you to challenge that spot, your heart. And it says without aggravation, considering the healing process. Consideration to the healing process must be observed. So you know you working on being healed, working on getting over some things that were traumatic. People hurt you, they say things to you, about you, without even considering the fact, like, if this was me, how I would feel if somebody come and do this to me, if somebody said this about me, we don't think about other people, and we don't think about, we are so insensitive because we all caught up in ourselves, and it's just about fixing the situation to suit me that we forget, oh, this is a person with feelings, with emotions, and if I respond or do things in a particular way, this could cause some damage. And the person, they are trying to figure out their life, like, okay, how do I move my left foot from my right foot here? How do I walk on this ankle again? Should I be using crutches? Should I be using a stick? Because that was the next thing that took place. I had to use crutches for a period, and when they took off the cast and therapy started, I was walking like an old lady with a stick. So there's a process, there's a sequence, and sometimes their traumas could be avoided. It will be more sensitive to other people and not be so selfish and consumed with this not happening and this how I and it's just be about I. So consideration of the healing process must be observed, and the therapy must challenge the patient and injured area without aggravation. The next thing, total patient is a long one of them, but I really want us to be whole, and I want us to get out from these childhood traumas, these traumas that adult people just traumatize other adults with, to get out from that area and be our true, finding out who we are, our true, who is Melina, who is Carlos, who is Arlene, who is Charlene, who is Renee, who is Akia, who is Michaela, who am I for real before this damage occurred. So, the total patient. Next thing to consider. The injured areas must continue to function, not moving because, let's say, my leg was broken. You will tell yourself, okay, when my leg broken, then I had to be in this lying down position for this whole time because this leg broken. No, get up, move your hands, use your head, use your next leg, so that all those muscles don't be there. I don't know if any of you ever broke a limb. But after, because of lack of use with that limb for so long, because of course the bone have to heal before you could even begin to start therapy on it. When you take off that cast, trust me, you wouldn't recognize that limb. I did not recognize my foot. And the leg itself looked smaller. It was weaker. And the other leg, obviously, the one carrying all the weight plus a baby all. It was not easy. Would have had so much pressure for that period of time that the next leg just looked like a dolly leg on this full body. So you have to use the other parts of your body, because then your whole body will be looking like a dolly body. So you have to remember the total patient, and you can't, in the terms of trauma, you can't really, just now baby, you can't not use the rest of you because you would have injured this area. You can't not talk to other people just because this person hurt you or that person hurt you. And so you just, everybody at arm's like, no, I real good, and you who was this nice bubbly person all of a sudden became an introvert. Trust me, that's happened. And it's because you were traumatized, but you can't, everybody can't. You can't do that. You have to use the rest of yourself. You can't hide away yourself. And it's really easy for me to go into total mode. Trust me, I just tuck my head into my shell and I real good. But you can't, life goes on, and so you have to continue using the rest of yourself. Trauma must not define you. Trauma must not define you. This is my little wrap up here. So having gone through all of that, how we should deal with trauma, how we should think about rehabilitating ourselves, how we should think about the actions that need to be taken, the process involved in restoring yourself to your former glory. Understand that the trauma should not define you. Somebody telling you that based on your educational background or where you lived or who your mother was or what place you grew up in defines who you are. The devil is a liar. Them and the devil is a liar. That you shouldn't let that define you. The fact that you didn't grow up with your father, you was abandoned by a parent, you didn't receive love from those that was family, you didn't, whatever, you got raped, that does not define you, right? And I'll give us some example here. David was tending sheep, running for his life, but he was a king in God's eyes. In fact, he was anointed king. Joseph was sold by his brothers as a slave on light, but he ended up being the prime minister of Egypt. Lied on, thrown in jail. But if you know Joseph's story, that is not how God saw him, and that was not the end of his days. Mary, a young girl, innocent, getting ready to get married. The fiance, I guess because of his love for her, didn't put her to get stoned, because that was what you deserved if you were unmarried and pregnant at that point in time. But yet she was the mother of the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Your trauma does not define you. Esther, a Jewish young girl, turned out to be the queen. Your trauma does not define you. She wasn't even living with her parents. She was an orphan living with her uncle. Your trauma does not define you. Ruth, a widow, trips in behind her mother-in-law, who initially rejected her and told her, go back where you come from. Ended up in a situation where she too became queen and ended up in the lineage of Jesus. Your trauma does not define you. So let us work on that challenge. Listen to the video over and over if you have to. And yeah, let us challenge the injured area without aggravation. Considering healing, the healing process. Let's do that. That's the intensity part. And let us remember that you are your own individual, and nothing and no one should tell you, oh, by now you should be healed. Oh, by now you should get over this. Be compliant. Be ready to make the changes that are necessary. Give yourself time if you have to. Avoid aggravation. And follow the specific sequence. This, then this, then this, and go for counseling. You go for counseling. Trust me, the counselor will go through he will start from the beginning and then work the way forward to the process of you healing. And he may challenge you to do certain things, he or she, that would challenge the injured area. And remember your whole self, not because your heart was broken or people smiling in your face but really talking behind your back and they did and said things that were hurtful, means that you're not going on. You ain't not me and people. You're done. You're just done. We can't do that, right? So the total person, even though the area was injured, you have to take the entire person into consideration. Isolation is not the best thing at this point in time, and you can't think that not me and people is the best mindset to have at this point in time. And remember that your trauma does not define you. So thank you for joining me again on another Monday. I'm going to run this out on deep condition. But yeah, this is as real as it gets. I am in rehab, if I have to be honest with you all, at the moment, because I would have experienced some very traumatic situations. Like I told you all, from the age of 5, I remember certain things happening, and then in your adulthood, people was just awful. They don't know how to talk. They say things that just tear your insides apart, and then you just, it seems as if it's one thing after the next all the time. And so know when you need rehab. Know when you need to enter that trauma anonymous association and deal with this stuff, because you want to be your best self, for the people that are around you and just for yourself personally. For me, it's really for me. The other people will benefit. My children will benefit. My husband will benefit. Friends will benefit. Different relationships will benefit. But really and truly, this is so that I could experience total freedom, healing, wholeness. So yeah, let me check in because it's necessary. Love you all. Remember to stay safe. The numbers are going back up again, y'all. Sadly, like I said, people just seem to be acting the fool and not paying attention. Sanitize, wear your mask, and yeah. So until next time, have a great day. Take care of yourself. Check in if you need to. Get counseling. Talk to somebody. It's important. Have a great day and get some sun. Get up early in the morning and get a vitamin D. Later.